Success shouldn't feel this exhausting. If you're winning on paper, but burning out behind the scenes, you aren't failing. You're stuck in a psychological bottleneck called a hurdle of stop. I've been there. On the outside, things look great, but I was secretly burning out, convinced I was just lucky, and waiting to be exposed as a fraud. I realized I didn't have a business problem. I had a mindset block. Whether it's imposter syndrome, perfectionism, or fear or failure, these aren't just feelings. They are growth bottlenecks. Identify your specific hurdle and get one immediate action step to regain your momentum today. Go to tuepodcast.net/quiz. That's tuepodcast.net/quiz to take the 3-minute assessment and get your report now. This is an Undiscovered Legacy production and proud member of Pod Nation Media Network.
Hey there, entrepreneurs and business builders. This is Scoob from Business Conversations with Pi, where the questions are real, but the voices are AI, even mine. Welcome to another insightful episode. On today's show, we're diving into the burning questions that new entrepreneurs often ask as they embark on their exciting journeys. Whether you're just sketching out that brilliant business idea or have already taken the first steps, this is the place to get your top queries answered. I'll be your host, along with my virtual co-host, Pi and AI assistant, created by the brilliant minds at Anthropic. Pi's neural networks have been trained on a vast trove of business knowledge. So you can count on us to provide thorough and actionable advice from crafting a solid business plan to nailing your marketing strategy and everything in between. We've got you covered. So get ready to soak up some entrepreneurial wisdom as Pi, and I tackle those make or break questions that all first-time founders face. With our combined human experiences and artificial smarts, will give you the insights to turn your startup dreams into thriving reality. Grab a notepad, put on those entrepreneurial thinking caps, and let's dive in. This is Business Conversations with Pi.
You know, there's a specific kind of arrogance that kills businesses. And I don't mean the I'm better than everyone else kind of arrogance. I mean the kind that whispers in your ear at like 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, telling you that you're the only person on the planet who can answer that email correctly.
Ah, the Superman complex.
Right. The nobody can do it as well as I can trap.
Yeah.
And look, I get it. The sources we're digging into today, they all acknowledge this starts from a good place. You built the thing. You care about it.
Of course.
But then you look up one day and you realize you aren't a CEO anymore. You're the world's most expensive janitor.
And probably the most exhausted one. Your revenue is flatlining, you're working constantly, and you've basically become an employee for the worst boss in the world yourself.
That is the perfect setup for today's deep dive. We're looking at a whole stack of sources, expert interviews, articles, some really compelling data that all argue the biggest bottleneck in your business isn't the market. It's not your product.
It's you. It's your refusal to let go.
Exactly. So today we're going to break down this whole concept of the zone of genius.
Which I know it sounds a little fluffy.
It does.
But I promise you, the framework behind it is really rigorous. And we're also going to look at why a staggering 73% of attempts to delegate this work just fail miserably.
And how to fix that by using global talent without, and this is key, without getting scammed.
And when you say scammed, you mean literally scammed.
Yes. There's a story in here about AI deepfakes in job interviews that is, honestly, it's terrifying.
It's straight out of a sci-fi movie, and it's happening right now.
Okay, so let's start with the diagnostics. Before we talk about hiring or outsourcing or buying back time, we have to figure out what we're supposed to be doing. The sources all point to this zone of genius.
Yeah.
Is that just a fancy self-help way of saying do what you love?
Not exactly. I mean, do what you love is way too vague, right?
Yeah.
It's advice for a teenager. For a business owner, the sources break this down into a really specific, almost mathematical framework.
Okay.
It's not just about enjoyment. It's about your return on energy.
Okay, so if I'm drowning in work, how do I find it? How do I know which part is the genius part?
Well, there are a few criteria. First, yes, it's what you love to do. Second, it's work that doesn't actually feel like work.
Mm-hmm.
But the third one is the kicker. It's the work that produces the highest ratio of abundance and satisfaction for the amount of time you spend on it.
So high leverage.
Extremely high leverage. Think about Stephen Peary's idea of the flow state.
Mm-hmm.
He tells that story about being on a flight, working on designs. The flight is nearly 3 hours long.
Right.
But he is so locked in, so focused, that when he lands, he feels like it's been maybe 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Yeah, that time distortion. That is a biological marker that you are deep in your zone of genius.
Because all the friction is gone.
Exactly. But here's the problem, and this is the insight that really matters if you're feeling stuck. Most entrepreneurs aren't failing because they spend time on things they're bad at.
Wait, hold on. Explain that. If I'm good at something, why is that a problem? If I'm good at spreadsheets, shouldn't I be the one doing the spreadsheets?
No, because that's the zone of competence, or maybe even the zone of excellence. And that is the trap.
The traps.
The sources use this great analogy from a group called Los Pistoleros. Imagine a band. You've got one guy who's amazing at fixing the tour van. He's a great mechanic. You've got another who's great at screen printing the T-shirts.
Okay.
But their genius, the thing that actually sells tickets, is the music.
I see where this is going.
If the guitar player spends 4 hours fixing the engine before the show because, hey, I'm good at it, I'll save $50, he's got no energy left for the actual show. The music suffers, all because he was operating in competence, not genius.
That hits home. You justify it by saying I'm saving money or it'll just be faster if I do it.
Precisely. It'll only take me a minute, but those minutes add up to hours. And the cost isn't just lost revenue, it's physical. Look at the story of Carolee. She had an award-winning marketing agency. On paper, a huge success. Multi-six figures.
But the reality was different.
Behind the scenes, she called it a hot mess. She was doing everything but her genius work. Managing the books, handling tech glitches.
All the van fixing stuff?
All the van fixing stuff. And she literally had to shut the entire business down for her health. She built a cage for herself out of her own competence.
Wow. A cage out of your own competence. That's a powerful image. So, okay, the next logical step is delegation. You identify the engine repair, the T-shirt printing, and you hand it off. But this is where the sources take a dark turn.
Mm-hmm.
Because apparently most people try this and just faceplant.
A 73% failure rate.
73%? That seems incredibly high.
Yeah.
73% of offshore projects fail. That's not a margin of error. That's a catastrophe.
It is. That's data from Louis D., the founder of a company called Near You. And honestly, it makes sense when you look at how people hire. They treat it like a vending machine. Put money in, get labor out.
You go to a freelance site, sort by lowest price, hire someone for $4 an hour, and just hope for the best.
And that leads directly to what Luis calls the death traps. The first one is the hidden cost spiral. You think you're saving money because the hourly rate is low.
Right.
But the work comes back wrong. Or it's subpar. So you spend your high-value time fixing it. Suddenly, that $5 an hour task costs you $500 of your own time.
Oh, I've been there. You end up just rewriting the entire thing yourself.
Then there's management quicksand. You spend more time explaining the task and checking in on it than it would have taken to just do it yourself in the first place.
Which completely defeats the entire purpose of delegating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you have the cultural chasm where the nuance is lost. But those are the classic problems, the new problem, the one involving technology. That's what really worries me.
The fake avatar story. I read this twice because I thought I misunderstood it. Walk us through this because it sounds like it's from a spy movie.
It's the rise of AI fraud in remote hiring. Louis D. talks about interviewing candidates who are using real-time AI filters to mask their faces and their voices.
So you're on a Zoom call, you see a person, you hear a person, but it's not real. It's a filter.
It's a deepfake in real time. He mentioned cases where people pretend to be in Latin America, what we call nearshore, to get those time zone benefits and better pay.
But they're not there.
They're in a totally different part of the world, using software to change their appearance, to match a resume, and completely mask a heavy accent.
That is wild. I mean, it kills the idea that you can just wing it with hiring. If you can't even trust what you're seeing on a video call, what can you trust?
It proves that rigorous talent selection isn't just corporate jargon anymore. It's a defense mechanism. You have to verify who is on the other end of that call. The vetting process has to be tighter than ever.
This brings up a distinction the sources make that I thought was really interesting. Offshore versus nearshore. I always thought they were basically the same thing, just not here.
Mm-hmm.
But the sources argue that for a U.S. business, the difference is critical. Why is that?
It's massive, and it really just comes down to physics. Time zones.
The communication fog.
Right. Offshore usually means places like India, Pakistan, the Philippines. And look, there is incredible talent there, don't get me wrong, but you're usually looking at a 10 to 12-hour time difference.
So you send an email at 2 p.m. your time, they're asleep. They reply, well, you're asleep. A simple back and forth takes 3 days.
It's impossible. You can't collaborate. You're just playing email tag. But near shore, we're talking Latin America, is usually within 1 or 2 hours of U.S. time zones. Lewis calls it working shoulder to shoulder.
You can actually work together.
You can jump on a quick Zoom, solve a problem in 5 minutes, and move on.
So you get the economic benefit. The sources say savings of 60 to 70% on wages compared to a U.S. hire, but you keep the collaboration speed.
And often the cultural alignment is much tighter. You're hiring university graduates, professionals who watch the same Netflix shows, who understand the context of the U.S. market.
I want to pause on the economic part for a second, because labor arbitrage, hiring people in cheaper economies, it can feel a little cold, a little exploitative.
It's a cold term for sure.
I'm going to pay someone less because of where they live. But we have this story from RG, a Navy vet and an agency owner, who frames it completely differently.
RG's perspective is vital here. He admits he started with that how do I get cheap help mindset, but then he saw the reality on the ground. He hires talent from the Philippines. A salary of, say, $600 or $800 a month, which is poverty wages in New York, is a top-tier, life-changing income in that local economy.
It supports entire extended families, puts kids through school.
Exactly. RG realized he wasn't exploiting anyone. He was providing a massive economic opportunity. It completely shifted his mindset from outsourcing tasks to building a global team. He wasn't just getting cheap labor, he was empowering people.
And that unlocked his own growth.
He really did. He was a solo freelancer, terrified of sales, doing absolutely everything himself. By hiring a team to handle the admin and his non-genius zones, he was able to focus on high-level strategy. He went from freelancer to true business owner.
Which really is the heart of it, isn't it? It's a mindset shift. Mark Josephson talks about this in the notes. He says most entrepreneurs think the widget is the product.
Right. If you bake cupcakes, you obsess over the frosting. You think the cupcake is the value. But if you want to scale, you have to realize the company is the product.
You're not selling cupcakes. You're building a machine that sells cupcakes.
Exactly. And that is a really hard pivot for a creative person. You want to touch the product. You want to tweak the frosting.
But if you're tweaking frosting, you're not building the machine. You're back in the zone of competence. You're the mechanic fixing the van instead of playing the music.
Right.
So how do we actually do this? Because build a machine sounds great, but if I'm listening to this right now and I'm overwhelmed, I'm thinking, I don't have time to build a machine. I have 50 emails to answer.
Well, you don't build the machine overnight. You start with what Carolee calls the hot mess strategy.
Which I love. Building in public.
Stop waiting for perfection. You don't need a perfect SOP to hire your first assistant. You just need to put the shovel in the ground. There's a mining analogy in the sources. You have to dig to find the gold. If you stop digging because you're too tired from doing your own bookkeeping, you miss the vein entirely.
But you had to dig with the right people. Nathan Miller has a great rule. Hire slow, fire fast.
It sounds harsh, but it's protective. Your people are your superpower. If someone isn't a fit, dragging it out just hurts them, and it hurts the whole team. You need a rigorous system. Lewis E.D. uses that REMOTE framework to filter people on the front end so you don't have to fire them on the back end.
Okay, let's get tactical. For the listener who is ready to buy back their time, where do they start? Because it feels like a mountain.
Pat Flynn suggests the 20% itch rule.
This is for the shiny object syndrome people.
Which is all of us, right? We all want to start a new project every week. Pat says, fine, give yourself 20% of your time to play, to explore those new genius zones, but you have to ensure 80% of the core business is handled by systems or a team.
So the ship keeps moving forward, even if you're off exploring a new island for a day.
Exactly. And if hiring a whole team feels too big, look at the start small advice. If you can't do 50 push-ups, do one. If you can't hire a full-time operations manager, hire someone for 5 hours a week to manage your inbox.
Just break the seal. Prove to yourself the sky won't fall if you let go of one thing.
And if you need a reason to do it now, not next year, then you have to look at the deathbed test from the story of Cease.
This was the heavy hitter in the notes for me.
It is. When people are at the end of their lives, they rarely regret the risks they took. They regret the things they didn't do, the business they didn't grow, the success they didn't chase because they were too busy doing the laundry.
Or too busy answering emails to go to their kid's soccer game.
That's the real cost. Staying in your zone of competence feels safe, it feels productive, but it's a cage. The sources are all screaming this. True growth requires the bravery to let go.
It's not just about hitting a revenue goal. It's about having the time to actually live the life you're working so hard for.
I want to leave the listener with one final image from Dr. D'Angelo. It captures this idea of patience and sudden growth so perfectly. It's the bamboo tree.
Oh, I've heard this. It's about the roots, right?
You water a bamboo tree for 5 years. 5 years. And you see absolutely nothing. No sprouts, just dirt. And you look crazy watering this patch of dirt every single day.
But something is happening underground.
Massive root systems are developing. And then in that 5th year, it finally breaks the surface. And it grows 90 feet in 6 weeks.
90 feet in 6 weeks. That's exponential.
So the question for you is this. Are you delaying your 90-foot growth phase because you're too busy watering the dirt yourself instead of hiring a gardener?
That is a challenge worth thinking about. Stop watering the dirt. Go find your genius. Thanks for diving deep with us.
See you next time.
What an insightful discussion we've had today on Business Conversations with Pi. A huge thanks to my knowledgeable AI co-host who was developed by the brilliant team at Anthropic. Pi's neural networks trained on a vast corpus of business data provided us with invaluable guidance on those pressing entrepreneurial topics. I hope all you aspiring entrepreneurs and business owners out there found Pi's artificially intelligent yet refreshingly human-like advice to be immensely helpful. Whether you're still mapping out that big idea or are already deep in the startup trenches, having an AI assistant like Pi on your team can give you the edge to turn your venture into a success story. And don't forget, if you have a burning business question that didn't get covered today, I want to hear from you. Feel free to send me your query and I'll tap into Pi's capabilities. To get you the answers you need on an upcoming episode, go to tuepodcast.net/askpi. So stay hungry, keep hustling, and tune in next time as we continue decoding the entrepreneurial journey, one conversation at a time. This has been Business Conversations with Pi. I'm Scoob from Undiscovered Entrepreneur, and we'll chat again soon.
Hello, Scoob Believers. Let me ask you a real quick question. How many cups of coffee have you had today? 3, 5, 7? And let me guess, you've got a Red Bull in the other hand just in case, right? Yeah, I see you. Now, here's the truth bomb nobody wants to hear. You're not building a business. You're building a caffeine dependency. Listen, I get it. When you're grinding 12, 14, 16-hour days, you're building something from nothing. When you've got payroll to meet, investors to impress, and visions that won't wait. You need fuel. But what if I told you that the fuel that you're using is actually slowing you down? What if the very thing that you think is keeping you sharp is actually making you dull? Enter Rise Coffee. This isn't your grandma's mushroom tea. This isn't some hippie wellness trend. This is science meets performance. And here's what makes Rise different. Less than half the caffeine of a regular cup of coffee. But here's the kicker. You won't miss it. 6 organic powerhouse mushrooms, including cordyceps, what Olympic athletes use, and lion's mane, what Silicon Valley biohackers swear by. Sustained energy that doesn't spike and crash. We're talking smooth, clean power from morning to moonlight. Crystal clear focus without the jitters. Imagine closing the deal with calm, confident mind instead of the caffeine chaos. Gut health and immune support, because what's the point of building an empire if you're too sick to enjoy it? So here's the challenge to you. Stop borrowing energy from tomorrow. Stop running on fumes and call it a hustle. Stop wearing your caffeine addiction like a badge of honor. Real entrepreneurs optimize, real entrepreneurs adapt, real entrepreneurs win. You can't win if you're crashing at 2 p.m. while your competition is just getting started. Break the cycle. Head to risesuperfoods.com right now and use code PODNA15 for 50% off your first order. That's PODNA15 for 15% off. Try it for 30 days. If you don't feel the difference, if you don't feel sharper, calmer, more focused, more alive, then go back to your 6-a-day cup habit. But I'm telling you, we won't, because once you feel what real energy feels like, you'll never go back. Ditch the addiction. Fuel your empire and rise up. Rise Coffee, energy that builds, not burns.